Hi everyone and welcome back to this channel. My name is Nikki and I'm going to be talking to you about all things crafty, crochet, knitting, and in particular in this video I'm going to be talking about toys. So have you knitted or crocheted toys before? If you have, please drop a picture down in the comments down below. I would love to see them. So I actually really wanted to learn how to crochet so that I could make toys because I was finding it quite difficult to knit toys. And I absolutely love making little teddy bears like this chap here. So I've got quite a few toys to get through, and I think what I'm going to do is split that up into maybe 3 different videos. So today I'm just going to talk to you about teddies and toys I've made that look like this chap here, because they're all from a similar pattern base from this book here. Which I absolutely love. This is a book with toys and loveys, which is a sort of baby comforter with a blanket attached to the head and arms of a toy. And there's so many really cute toy patterns in this book, I absolutely had to have it. So this little fella here is the first pattern from that book that I attempted. This is Finley. And Finley, I just made a lovey so that I didn't have to worry about doing the legs and the bodies. I could just do a blanket, and you can see this is just a granny square pattern like shown in some of the blankets in previous video. And it's got this really lovely border, which is just this very soft ripple. So I really like that pattern. There's lots of other different lovey patterns for the blankets in that book as well that I can't wait to try. But what's different actually between the granny square crochet, where you are making gaps and then making your stitches in those gaps, is that with the toys and these patterns you're crocheting into previous stitches, and that just gives you this more closed finish that you need for the toy. You can see, as this was my first attempt, some of the decreased stitches are a little bit visible, but that doesn't matter. I'm really happy with the overall effect, how Finley came out. Yeah, and just the pattern in the book was so easy to follow as well. And after I made him, I was maybe a little bit too confident, because I got this scheme in my head where what I was going to do for Christmas was make all of my friends' children Christmas reindeer, like this one here. And as you can see, these toys are all maybe about the size of a person's head, and after 2 of these reindeer I realised that making every child their own was going to be very unfeasible. But I'll just put a picture of those 2 reindeers on the screen now. And you can see how I made the different browns for the reindeers and different patterns on the scarves, so that they knew which toy belonged to which child. And then obviously I made one for myself, so I've kind of got a bit of a thing about how I'm going to work through this book. And as I'm making some of the patterns for friends' children, I'm also going to make one for myself, so just I have a collection and I can see sort of see my progress and see all the different patterns when they've been made up. And the thing about this pattern that I found was the antlers was really fiddly, so you made each of these 3 sections individually, which meant sewing them all together while stuffing them, weaving in the ends. That was quite annoying. But what was cute about this pattern is the hooves. You have this little thread of yarn that you sew in, and that you pull it tight enough that it shapes the hooves so they have little toes. So that was really cute. And that's my Christmas reindeer that is going to be featuring on the shelf in the next few months. And after I made the reindeer, I wanted to go back to a simpler pattern, so I went back through the book and I found this one here. This unfortunately very sad looking sheep. I have to work on the facial expressions there. And you might recognise this yarn. This yarn was in the chunky granny square blanket in a previous video, so I didn't have enough to do a final round in the blanket. I maybe had a third or a half of a round, So that ended up being cut off, and it was just enough to make the hair and the body and the tail of my little sheep. So the pattern called for a fluffier, chunky yarn for those parts, and I think this is maybe a little bit too chunky, but apart from the facial expression, I think that this sheep worked out quite well. And I also tried to sew the eyes on this sheep to practice my sewing, and I'm pleased at how they came out. So before I show you the last completed animal in my collection, I'm just going to show you a picture of one of the foxes that I made on screen now. And I made that for a friend who gave birth this summer during lockdown, so she is an absolute superstar. I might have mentioned her on a previous video. And yeah, I've started making my own fox out of the same yarn, but at the moment I haven't got very far. I've just got the ears and I've got the body. But you can see this really bright orange colour I just thought was perfect for a child. And so I really hope that their child does come to enjoy that little teddy fox there. Okay, so the last creature that I'm going to show you from, just to remind you, from this book here, if you wanted to grab yourself a version. The last creature I've made is this very adorably derpy looking frog. I absolutely love the webbed feet design, the stripy legs and arms, and I was quite impressed with this, with my attempt at copying this expression, this sort of little derpy smirk. Yeah, this little chap spent quite a bit of time early on in lockdown, sat in the window just smiling at children walking past on their daily walk, because obviously those kids didn't really get much of a summer holiday this year. And I hope that if they saw this frog out of our window, that might put a bit of a smile on their face. He certainly puts a smile on mine. So that is the last toy I'm going to talk to you about today. As you can see, there are more toys on the sofa behind me to talk to you about in future videos. Yeah, I can't wait to show you them. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and again, please put your photos of your makes down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.